your worship, your ladyship, your lordship, my lord. Have you ever wondered which is the correct way to address a judge? Or have you been embarrassed or suffered anxiety because you are not sure how to address a judicial officer? Well, worry not anymore. Here at Law Simplified, today we are going to go through this simple lesson of what judicial officer is referred to with what title. First, before I even go very far, understand from the onset that any judicial officer of any rank can be referred to as your honor. And so from today onwards, whenever you are not sure and you're before any court, before any judicial officer, please use the title, your honor. But if you must be specific, if you want to be smarter, please follow me shortly to understand how to refer to each judicial officer. First and foremost, in Uganda, we have basically three categories of judicial officers. We have magistrates, we have registrars, and then we have justices or judges of the High Court, the Court of Appeal / Constitutional Court, and the Supreme Court. Now, all registrars and magistrates, whom sometimes we call judicial officers of the lower bench, are referred to as your worship. And all judges, referring to those of the High Court, the Court of Appeal or the Constitutional Court, and the Supreme Court, are referred to as your lordship if they are male, or your ladyship if they are female. Now, you use your when you are addressing a given judicial officer directly, your worship, because you are addressing them, maybe you're before them. But if you're talking about them to a third party, then you use his or her. For example, you could say his worship or her worship, his lordship or her lordship or her ladyship. Now, I observed while still in practice that sometimes, because of the way the word lady is used seemingly more informally in Uganda than formally, that there are some lady justices that prefer to be referred to as your lordship or my lord, rather than your ladyship or my lady, which can have other connotations. And so in my view, it may be safer, and my view is that it is okay to refer to a lady justice as your lordship and my lord, all the same. Some people say these titles are useless. Why shouldn't we refer to people by their names? And Shakespeare has said, a rose by whatever name called still smells as good. Well, that's a discussion for another day, but I think that these honors come because of the relevancy and the importance of the office, the honor of the office, the impact of the decisions that judicial officers make. And so it's not about the individuals, but it is about the venerity of the office. And therefore, in my view, it is important. There are also people who have reservations about the titling of my lord or your lordship, saying this should be a preserve of God. Again, fair point, but in my view, I think that context and intention matters. Referring to a judicial officer as my lord does not necessarily mean that you are assigning to them divine significance, that this is your God. No, far from it. If I can use the example in our local languages, like in Uganda, one can refer to their boss as Mukama wange. Mukama means Lord. That does not mean the boss is their God. Even in local speak, we use phrases like landlady, landlord. That does not mean your landlord is your God, but it's just an honor for the ownership. Of course, many of these titles have roots in the aristocratic societies and aristocratic settings, but they have been preserved for the respects payable to the particular officers. So please, I think it is important for us to learn the titles and for us to use them appropriately. Of course, I would also think that if someone makes a mistake, um, my view as a judicial officer is that that should not be something very serious. We could correct them, but hey, watch out. Some people really love their titles and they have earned them, and so we must address them appropriately. Till next time, I wish you the best, and I hope that in the future you're saved from the blushes.